Hello and welcome to Kung Fu Art. I'm Sarah Taylor Laser from Slover Library, and today we're working on figure drawing portraits. So this will be the first in a two-part series about portraits. So the process for drawing the head is based on the development and form. Understanding the basic forms of all parts of the skull will allow you to create a volumetric model in your mind to work from when drawing portraits. In this process, the skull is broken down into basic forms and then reassembled in layers to achieve this volumetric model. This process is the foundation for rendering portrait drawings. To be able to successfully draw a portrait, it's important to understand the basic structure of the bone mass underneath the muscle and the flesh. The skull has 22 bones, 8 cranial bones, and 14 facial skeletal bones. This complex structure means that drawing a portrait is a complex process, and it takes study, time, and practice to be able to accomplish it successfully. So today we're not really worried about what all those bones are. We're really worried about the basic shapes of the bones and how they work together. Here's the head and neck. It has a total of 30 muscles that allow for facial movement. Having a general idea of where and how those muscles attach to the bone and how they extend and contract will allow you to be able to draw a portrait better. We're not necessarily worried about being exactly anatomically correct when we're drawing our portraits, but having a basic understanding of the skull and the muscles will allow you to draw your subjects with better accuracy. So like this picture here, you can see where the muscles around the eye here and how they react and attach to the muscles that go over the top of the head. And really, this just gives you a better idea of why you have that shadow there, because there's a muscle and a bone underneath it. You understand? So when drawing a portrait, it's important to start with gesture of the basic forms of the head and neck. Use simple shapes, a circle or an oval to describe the cranial mass and a jaw. And then use simple lines to indicate the tilt and the position of the head and neck. So first, we're going to draw the sphere. The sphere represents the cranial mass, which is 2/3 of the skull. When drawing the head, begin by drawing a circle and basic, so that's that basic idea of position and orientation and placement. Then build the perspective to make it a sphere to construct the details on top. Now we're going to put in the tilt. So you're going to give your sphere a tilt. With the straight line drawn down the center of the sphere, the cranial mass is given an orientation. It's important to developing the position of the head. So the line straight down this center one is looking at the skull or the cranial mass straight on, a frontal view. And then this one where it's tilted to the side, the actual cranial mass is tilted to the left there. Or I'm sorry, the right. And then of course this one where the center line is on its side or horizontal, it's like the skull's on its side. Now you're going to add the jaw. So the shape of the jaw is formed by extending the lines of the cranial mass down to give the skull an egg shape. In the example, notice the previous two steps. You can see the cranial mass, that sphere, and the tilt. So this is frontal. And this one is still kind of frontal, but 3/4. But you can still see that straight line that bisects the head. So then, of course, these are frontal, 3/4, and profile. The addition of the jaw starts to suggest the three-dimensionality of the skull in space. The T of the face further helps with the positioning as it represents the line of symmetry of the face. The frontal view shows the T where the vertical line bisects the face into 2 equal halves, and the horizontal line represents the eye line. This line is also the horizontal symmetrical bisection of the cranial mass. Perspective. To determine perspective, decide whether you're looking at the underneath part of the head or above the head. In the diagram, note that the T has changed and now tilts back across the face. So this one, the face is actually looking up. This one here on the bottom, the face is looking down. So we're looking at this up from above the head, okay? To the right, this cylinder here simplifies the tilt and angle of perspective. So you can see the bottom of the cylinder. So we know that that's tilted up. And then this one, we see the top of the cylinder, so we know it's tilted down. It's important that the horizontal line of the T bisects the sphere at its equilateral center. Notice that by relating the eye line to the brow here and to the top of the ear, you're more accurately describing the perspective angle, okay? So you can see the brow line here and that circle that wraps across the cranial mass around the sphere as if you look and see through it. This is that eye line. And then that straight tilt of the face and the ear where that kind of lines up with the brow line. Okay? All right, so some skulls. It's important to draw skulls as practice before you start layering on all the other stuff. So this will allow you to understand the bone structure underneath the skull, underneath the face, before you start adding more layers. You can describe that cranial mass first, the T of where it bisects the face, the brow line here, okay? And then we're going to set up our proportions. So now we've established the basic major forms, we can concentrate on the placement of smaller forms by setting proportions. This is based on finding the pronounced areas of bone in the skull. These proportions are always consistent despite the perspective placement. So start by finding the brow and the bottom of the jaw. So here we go, the brow or the eye line, however you want to call it, and then the bottom of the jaw or the chin, okay? The base of the nose is halfway between the brow and the bottom of the jaw. This here, the bottom of the sockets, which is halfway between the nose, the base of the nose, and the brow. Okay? And the keystone is halfway between the bottom of the socket and the brow line. The base of the nose, okay? Start from the base of the nose to the bottom of the chin, and the separation of the lips is 1/3 between the base of the nose and the bottom of the chin on the top. And the top of the chin is going to be 1/3 between the base of the nose and the bottom of the chin on the bottom, okay? So these proportions are always constant. So no matter what picture you're looking at, these things are always going to be the same. So your assignment is to complete 3 5-minute studies of the skull in 3 different positions. So 1 frontal, 1 3/4, and 1 profile. Use the skills learned from step 1 to step 5 to complete these studies. Then complete 3 5-minute studies of a face in 3 different positions, 1 frontal, 1 3/4, and 1 profile, and use those steps again, step 1 through 5. Be nice if you documented each step so that we can see how you're going. Use mixed media drawing paper or just regular drawing paper and a variety of pencils. So a 4H, a 2H, a B, a 2B, and 4B. So that'll give you a good range of hardness to use to complete your your sketches. You can do lighter lines for your base major masses, and then work your way to the darker tones to accentuate your different proportions. So your brow, your nose, your lips and chin, etc. Okay, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy this. And then join us next time for the next 5 steps in drawing a portrait. So you can contact me, Sarah Taylor Glazer, at norfolk.gov to sign up for the live virtual class, or if you have questions, visit www.sloverlibrary.com for this awesome program or more like this. View this lesson and others on Facebook at Slover Library /Kung Fu Art or at www.sloverlibrary.com under the Learn tab. Thanks so much, and I hope you guys have a great day.